Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today we'll be talking about the new patch that's coming out that just came out today regarding the 4-star dungeon. And I'll just be talking about what is the changes with Greatsword Spear and pretty much how does it gonna affect Greatsword Spear in the meta and how strong do I think Greatsword Spear is gonna be in this particular meta that's coming up. So first of all, regarding the 222, I just heard that the Blood Devo is still bugged, so people can still run 222 with Perma Blood Devo, but it's just a little harder. I hope they change it soon, but once that takes place, 222 should be dead. The one that I assume might be just for 222 Blood Devo, like the Perma Blood Devo meta should be dead, but in terms of like 2 SNSs, 2 DPS, 2 healers, it might still be a thing, but it's not as strong as it was before. So pretty much that's a good thing for gladiators because we can actually put some tanky DPS slot in the 132 meta. So that also pushes gladiator to be a little bit in the meta, and I would say it's just a good change overall for the class. And some of the changes, there's some skill that's changed with the addition of earrings. There's pretty much new earrings, and the only 2 earrings that's accessible is just these 2. It's kind of easy to get these 2, but I would say BIS, it might be this one with fortitude, gives you frontal endurance, gives you strength, gives you fortitude. It gives you a lot of stats pretty much, and with the addition of earrings we can reach some new threshold regarding some stats too. We have new 80 strength, which gives us more heavy attack chance. If you can get 80 strength, then get 80 strength, because heavy attack is really good for this class right now. I will tell you, it's one of the reason heavy attack is really good now is because of the change in Mortal Rat, but I'll talk about it in a bit. With the addition of directional attack, some of the skills has been changed. There's also some buff towards some spear skills, but let's take it one by one. So at first, for Tempest Strike, whenever you knock people, right now basically instead of like facing on a random direction, once you knock people back, it's always gonna face their back pretty much. With the addition of directional attack, pretty much that really helps it with targeting people on their back, because once you target people in the back now, it gives you some certain buffs. I forgot if it's hit or if it's crit. It's either one of those. And then there's another thing too. And then the other thing, the same thing with Abyssal Cleave too. There's a change to Abyssal Cleave. So pretty much now when you Abyssal Cleave someone, it's gonna knock them to the back. Yep. So now once you Abyssal Cleave someone, that knocks people in the back and basically show their back towards you, and you can hit people with some more of those directional attack buffs. Instead of just getting stunned now with Abyssal Cliff, people are getting knocked a little bit. There's a little bit of collision towards it. And then now we can also talk about Ascending Slash. So when people are prone, they're gonna be stated in the most disadvantageous direction to the target. So it's pretty much saying that whichever direction is worse for them is basically what collision prone now is pretty much. So once you prone someone, it gives you some more a little bit of that 3% hit or 3% crit buff pretty much. So it's a pretty good change overall. It just gives a little bit more damage, and there's some changes too in like Ascending Slash. Now instead of taking this point, you can just ignore this point. You can just ascending slash them from their back, and if you ascending slash them from their back, you pretty much got this 1 second buff duration for that prone duration pretty much. But if you have this specialization on, it doesn't really matter which direction you hit it, it's still gonna do the same amount of prone duration, because once you have this skill spec, it's not gonna stack with the backstab prone buff pretty much. And then there's another change with stunning blow. If you stun them from the back, now it also stuns for another 0.5 seconds. And yeah, those are the minor changes that's related with directional attack. And I would say the big one is pretty much the Blood Leech aura. So before this, we don't really need to grab these passives, but now we kind of need to, because Blood Leech now pretty much remove a healing over time effects from the target. Yes, you can remove some of the healings, but things like healing touch, things like, I would say, some healing buffs, pretty much healing over time buffs that usually is frustrating, gets killed with this Blood Leech aura skill pretty much. So this is a must now in PvP. It's a really good skill to take now because it lasts for 5 seconds. It's 5 ticks. You pretty much remove 5 healing buffs from the opponent. So it's a pretty good skill overall now in GS Spear. Also, you kind of want this anyway as a GS Spear. Some people don't really take it because it's not really useful, but the lifesteal is really good. So if you're in a clump, you use this, man, the amount of lifesteal that you get is really nice. And you're hitting people while you're doing that as well. Which now let's take a look at the passives. There is some passives that got changed recently with the new update too. The Indomitable Armor, now pretty much once you get hit from the front, you pretty much have another 10% chance of increasing your defense. which is really good because now you just have it's a buff to the skill overall, right? If you got hit from the front, you have another 10% chance. So any buff is good for any skills. Cold Warrior. So this one, I don't even know if this thing's working yet or not. But as a GS peer, I don't really take it because there's just so many good other passives. But yeah, if you want to see, the buff is pretty much now, if you're using Greatsword's attack from the back, it applies shock to the target for 2 seconds. Pretty much what shock is what when you stun people and they're immune, it pretty much gives them a shock debuff. And usually it's just being used for some more damage in like that blow or things like that. Yeah, other than that, I don't even know if the skills are still working or not, but it's not really good because the reason is I would say it's quite decent if Javelin Inferno can apply shock, but unfortunately it's only Greatsword skill. And as a GS peer, you don't really play that much Greatsword attack skills anyways. So I would say that shock duration is not really crazy or all of that. There's nothing really good about it. There's nothing really broken about it. So it's just a good change. It's just some change. I don't even know if the skills is like working or not yet, but yeah. All right, the next one we have the melee search buff. So pretty much these two numbers should be the opposite. So when you take the 5%, when you take a damage, there's a 5% chance to increase the heavy attack by 212 and increasing the heavy attack chance from the back by 106. That should be the way it's worded. I don't know why it got worded the other way, but pretty much there's a 212 flat buff if you got hit, and the back heavy attack chance is another 106, as you can see at the bottom. I don't know why they put it on the other way, but I'm pretty sure it's the other way around. And the other thing that got buff is pretty much Mortal Rat. This is the one that I would say it's game changing for GS Spear, because before you can't really take this skill. This skill, I would say, does a decent amount of damage when I use it with crit. It's really, I would say, it's usually the finishing blow for every single people that's below 30% health. That's why I usually take it, but I'm still skeptical whenever I take it because it doesn't really proc that much. But now they changed it by quite a lot. Pretty much instead of relying on crit in order to trigger this skill, now it relies on heavy attack, which is really good because GS Spear has more heavy attack, I would say, than crit. You heavy attack more than you crit pretty much. So now the skill changes into, so before the skill only can trigger with an enemy that's below 30% HP, but now it has two conditions in order to make it work. Pretty much when you land a heavy attack from the side or the back, which usually when you throw your Javelin Inferno, one of them is gonna hit the back or the side. It has a 30% chance to apply this Mortal Rat damage, basically another additional damage. So it has a 30% chance to proc it, which is really good. Usually the damage is around like 1 to, I would say 1k to 2k, 1k to 3k. I would say the damage is around that much if you take this mastery. It's a pretty good amount of damage and extra damage that you can get from it. So it can basically proc with people that's not under 30% HP. That's good. And then with target that's less than 30% HP, the attack always becomes a heavy attack. So pretty much when a character is below 30% health and you get that Mortal Rat proc, it pretty much guarantees that proc to be a heavy attack. So it kind of seals the deal to finish off the target that you were trying to kill pretty much once their HP is below 30% HP. So it's a pretty good passive. I would say this change favors more towards Greatsword Spear rather than Shadow Dancer, but it's still a good change for the two class overall. Yeah, I would say that's all the changes. And what does this mean for Greatsword Spear? I would say with a lot of changes, we can see Greatsword Spear is back into the meta. The reason being is before you kind of want to run 2-2 with glass cannons on the 2 DPS, but now since you can't really run 2-2 anymore, aside from the bug, I mean, if they decided to fix it, then 2-2 is gonna be dead, right? If 2-2 is dead, Greatsword Spear is gonna be back because you need some DPS that is not running glass cannon, because it's really hard for you to run glass cannon if you don't have that perma blood devo up. The reason why that works in the first place is because perma blood devo, you kind of ignore your defense and just go glass cannon in order to kill people. But now with the new meta changing, I would say we can see more people building like an actual proper defense, proper evasion, proper endurance and all that. So yeah, I would say the meta is going to change and Greatsword Spear is going to be a lot more viable than it was before. But yeah, subscribe to the channel if you haven't so already, because I will be posting some Greatsword Spear updated build regarding, people are asking me regarding the 4-piece or 2-piece Imperial, 2-piece Vanguard now. It's the same question as it was before, but with the new changes, how does it feel and all that, I'll be posting some updates regarding that. But yeah, I appreciate you guys all watching and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.